is going on YouTube? Retro Rewinder here. I'm real excited. I've got a new video series for you. I'm finally going to add a little more content than just a pickup video to my channel. And I came up with 3 different topics that I kind of had ideas on videos for. The first being what I'm going to do now, which is a video game hunting tips video. The second was a video on video game morals and video game hunting. And the third was a top 10. I posted on Facebook what people would rather see, and I had 3 or 4 people mention that they'd either like to see the video game hunting tips or the morals in video game hunting. So I decided to go ahead with the tips first because it's going to be a series, and then I'll probably put out my video game hunting moral video a little later. So this is going to be the first episode of Retro's Rewind Tips, and I'm going to have 6 tips for you, and they're all going to be related to retail stores. And the future videos will cover garage sales and thrift stores. So it's just going to be kind of a mini-series on my channel. So let's jump right into this. I've got 6 tips for you. My first tip is shop retail. Don't be afraid to go into a retail store. Personally, I buy almost everything in my collection from garage sales and thrift stores on bargains. And I know a lot of people are like that. They don't want to pay what a game is worth. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go into a retail store, because you will find deals. Because sometimes the video game stores misprice things. Sometimes they just run good specials that they're much under eBay prices. So you might as well go in and see what they have. Even if you only go in 5-10 minutes at a time, you're not wasting that time, because there's a possibility that you're going to find something. And I find stuff all the time at retail stores. Sometimes I can get them just as good deals at retail stores as I would at the thrift store. So my second tip is always check behind the counter. This is one of the most important tips I can tell you. In a retail store like Disc Replay or half-price books, where they price everything individually, sometimes they haven't moved all of their stock out. So what I always do is I go look around the store. When I'm done looking around the store, I go up to the counter and ask if there's anything that they haven't put out yet. With half-price books, you don't want to do this at the register. You want to go to their purchase center where they do all their buying. Go back there, ask if, hey, do you guys got anything that hasn't been put out yet? A lot of times they will, and if they're not busy, at least in my experience, they will go ahead and pull that stuff out for you. Sometimes it's not even priced, and it's better if it's not priced, because if it's not priced, they will look it up right there for you. And the times that I've experienced, they almost seem rushed in the sense that they want to price it to you quickly so they can get on with their work, which is a great payoff for you, because they'll make mistakes. My first example, I was at a half-price books. They were kind of slow that day, so I asked, hey, do you guys got anything behind the counter you haven't put up? And they brought out this, Xenogears. Now, last time I checked, this game was going for about 40 bucks. I haven't checked it here lately. But it didn't have a price on it, so I said to the person, I'm really interested in this one, what would you price it at? And they put a price sticker on there of 15 bucks. And I got this just last year when it was going for 40. So they definitely made a mistake, and it was something that I would have never found if I didn't ask them to bring it behind the counter. Next 2 things I got at a store that I go to all the time called Disc Replay. They have stuff behind their counter all the time that's normally priced, because that store in particular won't bring you anything that's not priced yet. But by getting the stuff that is priced that hasn't been put out yet, you get first pick of it. So no one else has seen the stuff normally, because I'm the only person I ever see looking at the stuff behind the counter. And the first thing that they brought out was Shining Force. This is one day. And the good thing about Disc Replay, if any of you guys have a Disc Replay in your area, they do not price a boxed complete copy of a game different from a loose card. Or they had it $10 loose. I was able to get this game complete in box. The manual's a little jacked up, for 10 bucks, because they priced it as a loose cart, because that's just how they do their pricing. And like I said, if I never would have asked behind the counter, I never would have found it. Another example, Chrono Trigger. $25, same type of thing. It was behind the counter. No one had ever seen it yet, except for people that work there, so I got first dibs on it. So that's probably one of my most important tips in this video. Look behind the counter. Always check. Ask them to bring it out. And at half price, they won't always do it. So if they don't do it the first time you go in, don't be afraid to ask again, because there will be a time when they will do it for you and it could pay off big. Okay, tip number 3. Don't be afraid to switch and swap things at a retail store. And what I mean by that is, if you go in and let's say they have 5 copies of the same game that you want. All the cases are varying condition. Some of them don't have manuals. Most of the time, you can just take what manual you want out of the 5 different games, put it in the best condition case, and then get a best complete copy of it. And sometimes I ask if they mind, and the times that I have asked, they don't care. Normally they'll have, let me grab a, for example, this came from Disc Replay. It's a Bat and Kados. Normally when you buy a game from them, they will have like a number right here, if you can see that. It's the only indicator on where to find the disc, is that. So they don't put anything on the manual. And this one actually doesn't have a manual. But the only indicator to get the disc for a game is located on that case. So you can take the extra paperwork out, put it with the case you want, and get a better complete copy. I've done it multiple times. You want the best thing for your collection, I'm sure, so go ahead and get the best. Get the best condition things and make a super game, basically, where everything is the best at it. Don't be afraid to do it. Most stores won't care. Okay, my 4th tip is utilize and know your offers in a retail store. Most places will have deals on a daily basis. For example, Half Price Books that I go to, Tuesdays are Retro Tuesday is what they call it. And every Tuesday at this particular location, you get video games, comics, manga, and vinyl for 20% off. So almost all of my purchases from Half Price come on Tuesdays. You got to know your offers and utilize them. And what I mean by utilize them is sometimes they won't give them to you. When I go into this particular Half Price, I think they've only actually given me the offer twice without me asking. They'll ring it up, and I always say, "Is that with the 20% off?" And they'll say, "Oh, I forgot to ring it through." I don't know if they actually forget or if they're coached to not give you a discount unless you ask for it. But make sure you are aware of the stores and what offers they run. Disc Replay always does. It's an all-day thing every day. Every 5 items you get 1 free. So if I take in a bunch of stuff to trade in and I have a big amount of money, I try to use it all at the same time. And by doing that, I can get 6 games for the price of 5. So I'll try to buy, $20 games or $10 games and leave the smaller item tickets for a different time when I only have a few bucks to spend. So anytime you go into somewhere, you should probably ask them, if you're new to the store, what kind of deals they run. Do they have any bundle deals? Sometimes places won't even post what their deals are. So go ahead and ask, because it's only going to benefit you to know and utilize those offers. Okay, my 5th tip for you guys is don't be afraid to barter in a retail store. Don't be afraid to haggle. And it won't work at every store. For example, Half Price Books and Disc Replay, it won't work. But local stores are the places you want to do it. Places that are locally owned. Go in there with the knowledge that you're going to be able to work out deals with them. So, if you find something you really want, don't be afraid to, say what's the lowest you'll take for it, especially if it's been sitting there a while. I got these 4 games: Demon's Crest, Secret of Mana, Super Mario RPG. The store that I was buying these at were charging $25 to $40 per game. They sat there for a while. It was a local store. So I went in and said, hey, I'd like to buy, I bought them at 2 at a time. What if I bought both of these games? Would you hook me up with a deal? Both times they said yes. The games had sat there for a while. I presented a bundle deal for them to think about, and they did it both times. If a game has a little bit of wear or tear on an item, don't be afraid to say, hey, would you take off 10%, 20%, because I'm not really happy with the condition of it. Don't be afraid to ask on these local stores. There's always a deal to be had. You can, probably 9 times out of 10, get it for better than what they have it listed, even if it's only going to be $1 off. Most local places want to keep your business. So by doing that, let them keep your business. Let them give you some deals to keep them coming back to them. Because local stores will normally charge a little more than a big chain. That's just how they have to work like that, because they don't have the amount of stock coming in like some of those bigger places do. Don't be afraid to ask for deals, okay? That's really important because you'll get them 9 times out of 10. This sixth tip is more of a tip that I do personally. This won't apply to everyone, but I'm going to tell you anyway. My sixth tip is don't pay retail, which is a funny statement to say because I'm telling you to go to retail stores. But like I said with the last one, I get deals at these stores. I don't pay the amount of money for a video game that it sells for on eBay at a local store. If I can get it paid and shipped to me for cheaper than getting it at a store, I won't buy it at the store. That's just a personal thing that I do because I know that for my collection, I have to get it for the cheapest that I can. Now, there are a few exceptions. One is new games. Most places, you're not going to get much leeway on a new game. So if you can get a new game, pay retail for it because you're going to help the actual developer and everything. Don't buy a new game off eBay because your money going to that purchase isn't going to help the development team. But if you can, why not pay? If you're going to get it new, go ahead and pay the new price at like Target or something. And Target is a great store to go to. I found that they run a lot more video game deals than any of the other chain stores. So I'd check out Target any other time you're going to buy a video game before other stores. My local Walmart is awful. They never run deals. Kmart does every now and then, but the Target deals are always the best. So that, like I said, that's just a thing for me. Another exception is if there's a once-in-a-lifetime game you find and you don't think you're ever going to find it again, but you really want it, go ahead and pay the retail. I personally wouldn't because I have the thought in my mind that there's going to be a time where I can find it cheaper. So I will hardly ever pay retail for a game, even if I'm at a retail store. I normally get most of my stuff 50% of eBay value, and that's at retail stores. So this has been my 6 tips, Retros Rewind Tips, episode 1. I hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me what you thought about the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And the next installment of this little mini series is going to be garage sales. So I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time.